meant to be, Steve.
All right, the recording's going. It's my
Okay.
privilege, and I truly mean a privilege to have Mike Freeman share what he was working on. Mike, worked his up way after what, 20, 30 years as a president of the company,
Mhm.
and recently has been suggested to create a couple things. And so we saw something really cool, and I go like, oh, he should share this. Many of us are going to need something like this. So, Mike, it's all
Yeah.
you tell your story.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks, Steve. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how, and maybe some of you have already done this, but I am a AI novice. So that's the first disclaimer that I'm going to put out there. And as Steve and I were talking, I shared with him something that I utilized AI for to help me in my search. It can go along with my resume. It's called a portfolio. I don't know if anybody had a chance to already preview that. I know he sent that out in an email. So if you have, great. But we're going to kind of go over step by step, and it's super simple. It was much easier than I thought it was going to be. And if we have some time, maybe we can walk through somebody's resume, and we can do it on screen if we have some time. But I'm going to go through what I've been built, and I'll share my screen to show you that. All right, so because I thought it was only going to be fitting if I continued to stick with the theme of having AI help me build a presentation as well. So this is an AI presentation. We're going to take a look at this, and it is all about how I built this portfolio, which is a landing page or website built around my resume and my background. It gives a little bit more of a colorful story than just your resume, which today's world, right? They're all black and white. They're kind of look a little boring, maybe, and it's not as eye-catching. It doesn't tell the whole story. And so, as we're battling ATS systems and we're battling AI ourselves and sending our resume to corporations and companies and job postings, how do we make ourselves look a little different? How do we set ourselves apart? So that's what I've been trying to do. This was suggested to me early on in my search. I kind of rejected it in the beginning. And now that I put it together, I am getting more people wanting to talk to me. And so based upon my background, as Steve said, I worked for CHG Healthcare. I was there for 30 years. I started as a salesperson and worked my way up to a president of a sales division at that time. So I did that for a while. So let's get through this. Stop me as we go through it if you have questions. I don't like to present things and just lecture the whole time, so try to make it engaging. Okay. So first and foremost, if you have not been exposed to AI very much, there are certain prompts that it uses. And the way I built this is my 19-year-old college son came to me and he said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you utilizing AI more?" And he had over the summer started a company and used AI to help build everything for him. He used Claude. And so I said, okay, well, I could see if I can do the same thing and build this portfolio after I finally caved and said, hey, let's do this. So all I did was I started with this simple prompt was I attached my resume and I says, please build me a portfolio. So that's all I started with. And shockingly, in about 10 seconds, it put together about 10 pages of a website. Um, I then went back and said, hey, well, what about everything on my LinkedIn profile? I've spent a lot of time working with Steve on LinkedIn. This guy is a genius when it comes to LinkedIn. He's going to shake his head and say, no, he isn't, but he is. And I said, hey, can we go use my skills that I have in there? And so I went in and I pulled in all my skills from LinkedIn. It built a little bit faster. Um, and then here's some other prompts that are possible you can use, but essentially all you're doing is talking to your computer, and giving it prompts on what you want it to do. Give you a little bit of background on how I looked at what the difference was, and what I said in the beginning was a resume is static. It's usually one page or two pages, depending on your work history. A lot of people use templates, right? It's very generic. They're cold and they're vanilla. It lists what you've done. What do you think employers do? If anybody's ever been a hiring leader, how did you look at a resume? Right? You looked at it for about 10 seconds and then you moved on. A portfolio is more of a living site, right? It's something that you can always be changing and improving in. And literally, I stopped changing my resume and now I'm working on changing my portfolio more. Again, it tells a story, and it can tell, and I will show mine, but it tells a story. It shows more proof of what you've been able to do. And oftentimes, I think people explore this a little bit more. So, best thing I can tell you is you got to trust AI. And so those of you that are in engineering or manufacturing, you guys are probably real well aware of this. And hopefully, that you're not everybody on the screen is afraid or, apprehensive to use AI to do this. But again, it's very chat based, right? I looked at it as a very highly interactive piece of it. The way I've always used AI and Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or any of them was just to have a conversation with it. And I probably had too much of a human conversation with it because I would address it in human terms versus just telling it exactly what I wanted it to do. Um, and at the end of this, it's going to show you a file that's in an HTML or a CSS that you can open, you can manage, you can handle it. And then the last one, maybe the hardest thing is really finding a host of where you're going to host this. And I'm going to give you some free places to go because I didn't want to spend $20 a year or a month on a domain. So I found a free place to host this. Any questions right now? Has anybody already have a portfolio? Okay. All right. We'll keep going. So first, like I said, start with what you have. Everybody has a resume, right? We all have LinkedIn pages, correct? I hope. If you're working with Steve, you have a LinkedIn page and you have a resume.
No,
Although
no, no, no,
he,
no, Mike, your career coach doesn't have a resume.
well, I was just going to say that everybody but Steve has a resume, which, hey, guess he doesn't need one right now. And he will if he ever has to, I'm sure. So you start with your resume. I suggest putting it into a PDF format, which you probably all already have, and just attaching that into the free version of Claude. I didn't pay any subscription. I did max out a few times on the usage, and I had to wait a couple of hours, but I would just come back to it. In about one day, I had put this together. I also suggest again LinkedIn skills, especially any recommendations you have on your LinkedIn page, is perfect, even no matter how long ago they are. And then continue working with it. Like there's just because you have a first draft, you might like it, you might not, you might like the color it picks, but continue to work with it. The second thing that is a really good idea, and I didn't realize this until I was almost done. And again, my 19-year-old came to me and said, I'm not interested in looking at this. Like, why am I not drawn?" And he's like, "I don't understand what your career progression looked like." Because I'd worked with the same company for so long, I had a progression. And so I asked it to put a timeline together. And this was my signature thing of, look, let me illustrate something about me that might be unique because a lot of people aren't at a company for 30 years anymore or 20 years, right? People move around more often. So I use that as kind of the one thing of that's my character or something that really stood out. So I would suggest that is picking something that's unique to you, even if it's personal, or you built your own dating website, or you have a job that they just want to keep extending you and you're just going to collect paychecks and take a month off. That, I mean, talk about a selling point that's super interesting. And it's a talking point to get people to want to talk to you on like, well, why did they want to let you go, Tommy? And then they just kept you on for longer and longer. You must have been doing something right. I find that those things are fascinating. Third thing is bring in all the details, including a possible headshot, right? Hopefully you have your face pictured on LinkedIn. You can also use AI to, you know, give you a better headshot if you want one. But I would suggest having some sort of headshot. Again, it makes you real. It makes you a uh, not just a piece of paper anymore. And so I would suggest adding that in there. It's going to give you prompts of along the way of are you sure you want these things? And is everything in there what you're looking for? So, if you have any figures, like I gave some revenue and data and financial figures because of the role that I played, and I had to make sure to double check all this work. So that was another thing that was really important. Um, the other thing that's really important if you haven't worked with AI before is to challenge it. Make sure you ask it for more options. Its first option may not be the best one. It might not be the one you're looking for. So continue to ask it for more options. Give me something different. I don't like the way this is worded. The font's not correct. Whatever it is, I want it vertical or horizontal. The idea is that continue to ask it for options. It will give you as many as you ask for. And then, like I said, verify because the numbers that were coming through did come out incorrect after I put them in. We had to correct them, which we got there. It also helped me, double check my own math along the way too, of like, are you sure this is the right data points? Are you sure these are right financial figures? So we did have to go back and forth quite a bit. I wish I could rename Claude and give it an actual name. Maybe I need to name it Simon or something. So continue to challenge it, make sure it's not bulletproof, and you want to be able to look through that. And then once you've done all these things, you've built it, you've packaged it, now it's time to publish it. Um, and when you publish it, it's going to be live. So people are going to be able to see that, but it's not a very traditional type landing spot, at least the one I utilized. So you are going to be able to, you're going to have to be able to send that out and share that. People aren't just going to, I don't think, be going to be able to Google your name and find it because you get to pick your domain, you get to pick what it is. Mine's very simple for those of you who already saw that. And I'll show you that here in a second. Here are some locations of where you can use as a publishing spot. These are all free. Uh, it is a drag and drop. AI and Claude gave me a file that was zipped. I took that file from Claude, dropped it across my screen into Netlify, is where I went to. It then populated it, it published it, it made me pick, and I could edit what the domain was going to be. But it's not a traditional .com domain. Those ones you'd more likely have to pay for. This is not that way. So I was able to edit that and play with it a little bit to where I got to a place where I was comfortable with what it sounded like and what it looked like. Again, and because it's a professional location, more than likely use your name of some kind, not, you know, Steve, the man, the Ogden mayor, Botter, or unless he's running for mayor, that would work too. And then you have some other ones. You got Cloudflare, Vercel, and Gift Hub. So I didn't look at most of these. I looked at a couple of others, but they were all paid, and so I went back and landed with Netlify. And then you publish it. Remember, it's not the end of it. Just because you publish it, it's not locked out. You own this. This is your page. You can go back and edit that. You can go back right back into Claude, and which I've done and said, hey, go back to my publishing work that we did on my portfolio. We need to change, whatever it is I need to change. And I would give it multiple things. I would say, here's 5 things to go change. Here's 10 things to go change. Because if you do one at a time, it's going to take a long time to do that. So I would go through and edit multiple lists so that it would give it, 5 to 10 prompts to go change. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I'm going to give this presentation to Steve so he can share it with all of you, but I want to go show you what my page looks like. So hopefully I can remember how to do this and stop sharing, or I can just change over. Can you see my page now? All right. Thanks for the thumbs up. I can only see a few of you on my screen. So this is what mine turned out to be. Again, it's the blue. It knew to continue with the same theme for the presentation. Um, it did a lot of this. Like I didn't come up with this phrase, like I build sales organizations that outgrow their market. I didn't come up with that, but I was like, that works. We'll leave that in there. Um, but you can see across the top, it looks like a traditional site. Mine is my name at netlify.app. You can see up here at the top, I have different pages we can look at. But here's the home page. Right. It gives some financial information and kind of an overview of who I am. And then here's that timeline we talked about. And it has some description a little bit of what I did in each role that is a highlight.
Mike, did you have to create all that, or did AI come up with those?
So I gave it my resume again. And then because I have descriptions within my resume of each position I held, it extracted this for me.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Um, I gave it all this information as well, displaying, because it's a sales position that I've held, what that growth looked like year by year from when I became president and my last year as president. So I was sharing that. Um, these are the skill sets that they're now calling core competencies that come from LinkedIn. It categorized them all for me and put it all in here. And then the key achievements. Key achievements came directly from my resume. I have that section already in there. I've probably fiddled with this section the most, um, utilizing AI suggestion and cloud suggestions on how can I make this look better? How can I make this speak to not just the industry that I'm coming from, but where else? So it wasn't it was more generic. And then I have facilitated some leadership educational sessions and workshops over the years. So these were 3 that I have done. So added those in there. And then I think what's really important is having some recommendations because these are, we don't typically have letters that we send anymore, but these are from my LinkedIn page as well. And I have gone out and asked former colleagues to share and give me some. So it went out and I had to copy and paste this from LinkedIn because Claude's not good at going and reading LinkedIn. But when I copied and pasted it in there, it did summarize and pull out the highlights from each one. Okay. And then if we go back up to the top, you can see again, um, I have a philosophy section that I asked it to add. And I said, hey, I want more about my type of what type of leader I am and the philosophy that I have behind that. It asked me some prompts. It asked me some questions, which I then answered. And it helped put this together for me, which I have proofread and gone back over, um, to make sure that they are speaking to who I am as an individual. And if you remember one of the classes that I facilitated, it was Finding Your Why by Simon. And so it pulled that into one of my philosophies. I also had culture in here because um, culture to me in an organization, and I hope for everybody else, is really important. You want to when you want to join a company, you want to join a company you feel like you belong to, whether you're working from home in a bowling alley or you're working, in the office. And so it pulled in some things for me of what culture looks like in practice. And again, I helped put these ones together, but it also you can see it's pulling things from my resume. I talk about cross-functional alignment in my resume. I talk about the stability and transition of leadership and what that looked like in my resume because those were my experiences. So it pulled those in for me. And then it talks about culture because we did culture surveys at CHG every single year of and called engagement, and pulled that in. Okay. I'm going to stop here and see if there's questions or anything in that anybody has.
I've got a question. So
Yeah,
when you're using Claude, you're saying it didn't pull from your LinkedIn very well. Did you copy and paste your whole page and put it in?
I did. I would go into each section. So because it could get my resume, it had my work history. But as far as the recommendation sections, I would just go in and copy and paste them in to
Okay.
each one.
I just
Or the
and,
summary section would be the same thing.
and you're on the free version of Claude?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know for
Um,
mine if and I do pay for it, but I would copy and paste my whole page and it would pull everything out of there. I don't
yeah.
know if it's different or whatnot, but it did pull my recommendations out for sure.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. If you're on the paid version, you're probably going to get more uh, things it's going to do and more of its ability.
Yeah,
But
but
I
you
don't know.
still
I
have
haven't paid
usage
for it.
limits and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I was just
Okay.
wondering.
Yeah. Thanks. Good question, Sean. Anybody else?
I'm curious to see what your marketing plan is. Is it a personal one, or how did you approach that?
How I'm going to utilize this? So, in
Like
some of
on
the,
your marketing plan tab.
oh, you want to see my marketing plan tab?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
curious to see if it's like from a personal perspective.
Yep. So here it is. Again, this goes back to healthcare staffing because that's what CHG does. And so what I put in here was kind of a 12 to 24 months, um, what types of positions I'm looking at, what segments, so that they can see, as I've has the interviews I have had, they've all come back and said, well, what's your go-to-market strategy? So that's where this comes in. Um, it talks a little bit about my perspective on me joining an organization, no matter the size of it, how I would approach healthcare staffing, and what that would look like. So you can see, it's hospital-based post-acute providers, that are most understaffed and how I would address that. It's not a complete marketing plan, but it does go over how I look at compensation design, how I look at positioning, a company positioning in there, and then it gives a little bit of what I would do day one versus 3 to 12 months, and then the second year.
Okay. I
So it
really
wasn't,
love
yeah,
this.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I think the one thing to keep in mind is I had a hard time with this on how do I make it generic because many of us may not want to go back in the same field that we came from. Maybe if it's like you're looking outside, you're looking at something different. Like Lorna said that, right? She may not want to go back into what she was doing previously. So how do you make it more generic? Well, I think you have to embrace what you've already done, right? So I had one career path. Others that have done many different things, I would encourage you to showcase that in here. That you may have, I have one trick in my bag, you may have five, right? And so I think that's a great way to showcase yourself through this. And I think that Claude, or which I would recommend using Claude because that's the one I used, and I think it did a great job, is it's going to help extract that information for you and illustrate it in the right way. And if not, you get to freelance and tell it what to do. Tell it to reorder the pages, take page number 3 and make it page number 2, and so forth. This is also, something I think that's important to point out is, you know, as you send it out and send it to your prospective employers, the way I'm utilizing it today is I have it in my signature line of my email, or I have it in the signature line of my cover letter. I'm not sending it out as a separate document so then they can just click on it and they can go, but I am referencing the portfolio page so that they can go get more information versus just looking at my resume. So I'm not putting it on the resume. I haven't put it on my LinkedIn page as of yet because I haven't found where I really feel comfortable showcasing that and making sure everybody can see it. So I'm sending it out more on a one-off basis as I apply to positions with my resume.
Hey, Mike, I have a
More,
question for you.
yeah.
So you talked about creating the zip file in Claude, then bringing it over to Netlify. How much individuality do you have when you take it to Netlify? So the file you take, do you take that to
Hmm.
Netlify and it automatically populates your marketing plan, your contacts, or does the
Yep.
file just exist there and then
Yeah.
you create all that stuff?
So in Claude, it produced what I showed you, and I just got rid of because I wanted to see all your faces. Um,
Sorry,
is
my
that
beard's back.
okay, there it is. Thank you. Gosh, Kevin, it is a good beard too.
It's the unemployment beard though. It's two different looks we got going here, man.
So what you're seeing and what I showed you is the version that it was giving me on our preview. It would give me a downloadable version, and that's the version I was looking at. I could edit that along the way. So that zip file that I dropped in to the Netlify, it populated the exact same thing. It was already prepared for me. I just said, okay, look, I'm ready to publish it. Give me the published version, and it packaged it all together for me.
Okay, so then that PDF, that zip file, you take it to Netlify and Netlify kind of runs with it and then you can cater it after you see.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah, like you can change your the name, the landing spot of it. You can see mine was, my name at netlify.app. And you can change all that along the way. I can change that today if I wanted to. Or you can, there's a million different things you could do. It was super friendly because, like I said, again, not only am I a novice, I've never done this before. I've never put together anything like this that was a website driven. My son, again, who pays for the pro version of Claude, is over there coding, and I put this together faster than he could by coding. By just letting AI and letting Claude build it all out for me. I wasn't looking for anything that was, like what, Google's going to put together or what Amazon's going to put together. I didn't need it to function like that. I needed it to function in something that's viewable and uh, uh, obtain down. People could download my information, right?
Cool.
So
That's
great
helpful. Thank
question,
you, man.
Kevin.
Appreciate it.
I have a question. Excuse me.
Yeah.
If I've always read that when you send in a resume, that they open it and read it that fast. What
Mhm.
will inspire them to look at this and read this?
So what I'm seeing so far is, in the responses I'm getting, is that not a lot of people have this. They're just seeing a resume,
True.
right? So I
Right.
believe now it's how are you going to put that in your cover letter, and hopefully you're including cover letters in your when you're applying for positions. How are you going to say, hey, go see this page? This tells more of my story. This tells more about who I am and what type of your personality can come out in this, so that they go and look. But again, that's the way I'm doing it. It's not bulletproof. You still have to get past the
Nothing
bot,
is. Yeah.
right? But hopefully throughout your follow-up and sending, follow-up emails or follow-up messages, um, I just continue to encourage people to look at it. I don't know how many pages they're looking at. They could be looking at two. They could be going to the marketing,
That's
the
true.
go to market. So you just don't know. But seek the feedback, right? And when you in your interviews, did you see it? Did you look at it? What did you think? right? I mean, it's a talking point for you in your interview that not many other people are going to have. And that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to
No,
stand
they
out and be a
won't.
little bit different.
I think it's a really neat idea.
Sounds like a plan to me. Thank you.
Got some other people with their hands up. We'll go with Jason and we'll go to Sean.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, Mike. Good to meet you. Um,
Yeah, you too.
I had a couple of questions. Well, I had one question, and then when you guys were talking, you're not sure how many people are seeing you. That may be something you can ask the AI to
Hmm.
integrate into the page as some kind of a counter of views and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
good
Um,
point.
but I was going to say, because that's one thing that LinkedIn obviously has built into it, is how do you see this as an advantage over your regular LinkedIn profile, except that it's
Yeah.
it's unique right now.
Yeah. I how many, let me ask you a question first. I'm gonna answer it with a question. How many people live in LinkedIn to do their job searching? Are there other people who use Glassdoor or Indeed?
Well,
I
this
find
this is a
myself,
this is a LinkedIn house. I mean,
yeah.
Steve will shun you if you're not using LinkedIn.
You
Steve,
don't poke the bear, man. Don't poke the bear. Okay.
you
No,
made
Okay.
I tease, but
Well, the
definitely.
only reason why you're telling that is, Jason, why do you tell them the truth? You're not
Okay,
on you're
I'm the
not on
one.
LinkedIn, so
I'm the one guy that doesn't have LinkedIn.
you don't have a horse in
yeah.
this race, my friend. You don't have a horse in this
Okay.
race.
Well,
Okay. But
okay.
it's in my opinion, wherever you're job searching, you're getting the most traction and people want to talk to you, that's your
Mhm.
space.
Yeah.
I use the N word, which I'm going to clarify that. That means networking. And Jason's confirmed that I've decided that I pay everybody to say that.
He does.
But guess what? I'm pretty sure the ones who are networking, you know, find it to be
Yeah.
helpful. Find it to be
Yeah.
helpful. But yeah, you're right. I
No,
don't
but I think
I
the
don't know
question.
LinkedIn. I don't think LinkedIn's done all for. I don't think it's the space for everybody. Not at all.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Um, but but it does present that same kind of general format, I guess you'd
Yeah.
say.
Hmm.
Areas
Does.
of, but there may be much more limitation in terms of how it's formatted, and if there's just something that it doesn't do, you could do with your
Yeah.
own page.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but like say the metrics that it presents to you about views and stuff, all that's
That's a
built
good
in
idea.
right now.
Yeah. That's a
But
good
I think
idea.
it
And
supports some of that.
yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to go now do that after this. So the reason why I asked is how I was using LinkedIn because I think LinkedIn is just a way for you networking, obviously, and to promote yourself. So utilizing those and you're showcasing your work history and you're showcasing everything about you and those of you who post, different messages or different things. Again, all what you're trying to do is just get as many views as you can so that you are marketable. I think this is just another version of that, right? Of
right.
well, Sean put this together, right? Or Jason, you put this together. Wow, you did go above and beyond what the normal candidate's doing.
Mm.
Tell me about this. Tell me about your page. Let's walk through it. You know, I think it could be a talking piece, and that's what I'm hoping for. So, from a networking side of things, I have sent this, as I mentioned in the beginning of my introduction, I sent out a lot more messages last week than I had before. And I was including this of, hey, I haven't talked to you, or I interviewed with you, I haven't heard back. I put this together. I'd like you to take a look at my portfolio. Love some feedback. Maybe we can have a secondary conversation about it. So I was trying to produce the next conversation because I hadn't heard back from anybody, but I had had a first, right? So it was that follow-up
Right.
message to them. I did get some responses of, wow, this is great. Yes, let's set up some time to go over this. I want to know more about it. Now that was only happened once so far, but we'll see if how as I this week and what it looks like. So
Okay. Thanks.
But damn,
Steve's obviously
Jason,
giving me the hook, but yeah,
Jason,
um,
go make a LinkedIn page.
But Jason
I
has
do
to decide
consider
if
it.
he's looking for work or not. He has to
Yeah.
decide
Oh,
that,
okay.
Yeah, me and Tommy here kind of got some stuff in
Okay.
similar.
Okay,
All right,
Sean.
Sean, what about you?
So actually, Jason had some of the same questions I did about the counter for knowing when somebody looks at it, and then, um, and you kind of answered my other question, but what I'm wondering is when you're applying for jobs and they have that section for your own website or something, you're adding that in there too.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then I know I made something different. I made a career deck, not a portfolio, but I'm thinking about doing this now because I like this. Have you asked Claude where you could put it into your LinkedIn portfolio and then it could have the counter? Then you'd know how many times somebody is actually looking through your LinkedIn or recruiters looking, and then you can
Yep.
see when they're looking at it.
Yes, it did give me some suggestions. Um, and I'd have to go back and pull them on my page of where it said put it in. One suggestion was put it in as a posting of, hey, everybody, this is what I put together. Take a look. Option, I think, is to put it in your contact information as well. And put it in there was a secondary. And there might have been a third one, but I can't recall right this minute. And I haven't put it on there um, as I'm not a big person who posts a ton, so I haven't put it there. But I wanted it to be something more. I was sending it to prospective employers versus I just didn't know how many people were going to look at it. So I like the counter idea, which I'm probably going to go back and ask it to put a counter on that page so I can get some data and some information from people, how many page views, how long they're on it, whatever it's able to give me, like a typical website. So yes, that's what I'm going to ask it to do.
Yeah. That's the one thing I wish I could do with my slide deck, but I couldn't because it's not a
Yeah.
website. So
But if you
I
already
like
have
this.
that, super simple, you just add that and say, hey,
Hmm.
make it into a portfolio. I bet you in a matter of minutes, it's redesigned it all
Right.
and given you probably everything you're looking for.
Yep.
Okay, thanks,
Chad.
Sean. Next up is Chad. Let me get him up here.
So I was just curious. I looked into it. Netlify has built-in analytics, so it can track that. If you go into your Netlify account, you should be able to go to logs and
Hmm.
metrics and then analytics, and you can just enable it. Now, I don't know if it's free or not. My guess is probably, and then it'll give you
The
some.
limitations.
It'll probably well, it's just tracking page views. They already know that. They're already tracking it. So, but they should give you that, and it should break it down into like where the people are from and stuff like that. So,
Hey, I'm gonna go do that right.
something to look into. It could
I
just
love it.
be checking a box.
Yeah, I'm sure there's limitations as it's going to give you some, but it may not give you the depth of data that we might all want. But at least if it gives you page views and numbers that way, that's better than nothing. So thank you for showing that.
Thanks, Chad. I have an idea. Let me see where I'm trying to pop. Where did Chad go to? There he is, right there. Okay. So I do have an idea to share with you. A couple places. I don't know if this is relevant to your, but let me pull this up. I pulled up a couple of places you could. So here on Chrome, I don't know where it's going to take us. Here's one person on Chrome that he has it right here. And you could pop it in right here, which could be your portfolio, or another person right here. Kent has it right here. And then another place you could put it is in the about section. You have choices for
Mhm.
websites here as well. I don't know if that's where you wanted to have, um, or in an about section. So just a thought, but I'm curious what Claude would tell you where Claude would tell you to put it.
Mhm.
So who else has a question? Okay, so somebody has a question, I'm going to make a comment. Um, some of you are brand new. Today's your first day being exposed to something like this. Um, First of all, let's give I took him off scene so we could see everybody here. Let's give him a round of applause for doing this, showing us how it's done.
Yeah.
Um, there are lots of tools out there right now. Our primary tool is our resume, cover letter, maybe having a LinkedIn profile. Would we agree those are right now in today's day and age? That's the basics, the basics. So if you want to go beyond the basics, um, today's being recorded, so you can go back and watch us. If you go like Mike didn't talk that fast, but there's a lot there. We recorded that. He did a PowerPoint presentation for you. I've got that, I think, or he gave it to me, or he will give it to me, and I'll include that for today. Um, we've got some other tools we've learned, and I may turn some time over in a minute, but there's a GIST card. Anybody know what a GIST card is? No, we got new people. Zen doesn't know what a GIST card is. Lorna doesn't know what a GIST card is. Chad probably doesn't know what a GIST card is. Jenny doesn't know what a GIST card is. So there's all these tools. There's something called a pitch card. They're all different things. The great thing about all of them, they are free. Mike could have bought Chat GPT or could have bought Claude, but he didn't. He just used the free version. And he was patient. Says come back in 2 hours. So he came back in 2 hours, did something else.
I'm cheap, apparently.
Probably went and played golf. Okay, probably went and played
Yeah,
golf. It's by the
maybe.
way, he didn't tell us, but we should probably, his kids are great golfers. He has a 6-year-old that's an incredible golfer, like golfer of the year in Utah for a 6-year-old. Yeah. So round of a little applause about that.
Thank you.
Sometimes we're known by, oh yeah, I'm so and so's dad. He's probably known by so and so's father. So his notoriety comes from his kid, probably.
Exactly.
So Mike, thank you for coming. Any other
Mhm.
questions you have of Mike? Well, we got him here. Okay.
The only thing I would end with is if I on there, and Steve, I think included it, I have my information. Send me an email, send me a LinkedIn message if you have any like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or if you want me to look at it. I'm willing to help and do whatever I can. I know that this world we're living in is a struggle at times, and it's not easy to navigate. So, if we can be there for one another and I can help out in any way, please send it to me and I'll do what I can.
Okay. Thank you for offering that. And then Larry has a question.
Uh, I was always told, or I have been told, that your resume shouldn't go back 10 years. I mean, over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was on an interview and I told them that I had 45 years in, and the look was like, oh crap. So, so in that space, I only have 2 jobs. So, would it be beneficial to actually have a timeline or not?
Um, if you did 2 jobs in 45 years, right? No? Oh, you muted.
Up, you're muted. There you go, Larry.
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think you can maybe do it in a different way, right? Was there projects you worked on over those 10 years? What did you do that could illustrate, your breadth of knowledge or expertise over that 10-year period to where on the top you might be able to list your position and then below what you accomplished during that same timeline. So there's kind of an overlapping timeline. Um, because again, you may have a long tenure, but if you only have two over a 10-year period, I still think it's something to illustrate so that you're marketing yourself. So I would, again, give the information to Claude and ask it how it would build it. See what it says. Say, I want three options and see what it spits out for you. And then you get to decide. Yeah.
I also think, we could always ask other relevant experience, ask Claude, what do you think about putting other relevant experience and taking dates off? I know everybody here is young, but me and maybe Larry, I'll put Larry in that category. Um, Larry might have me by a year. But we don't need to go back that far, and we don't need to tell somebody, like if you said that their jaw dropped, Larry, you have 15 plus years experience. 15 plus years. That's what you have plus. So, all right. Big round of applause to Mike for taking the time to do this. I'm going to end this
My
recording.
pleasure. Thanks, Steve.
And okay. Again, thank you.